Good afternoon. This meeting of the Trenton Board of Education is called to order. At this time, we will have a pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Present. 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 I'm present. Present. The New Jersey Sunshine Law. The New Jersey Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right to the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. On the rules of this act, the Trenton Board of Education is called notice of this meeting by publicizing the date, time, and place, therefore posted on the webpage, the time and the stars legend. Formal action will take place at this meeting. Mission statement. All students will graduate with a vision for their future, motivated to learn continually, and prepared to succeed in their choice of college or career. At this time, I will take a motion to adopt the agenda with the following agendas. One, a student presentation. Two, student study trips, Trenton Central High School. Finance addendum, extending the authority of the superintendent and the board president to extend the approval of human resources items on boards administratively up through September the 24th. Human resources, personnel transactions, A, new hires, B, new hire consent, C, appointments, D, transfers, C, stipend appointments. And that's it. So at this time, I need a motion to again approve this particular agenda, adopt this agenda. So moved. Second.
Yes, except for item, any item, I abstain. Let me do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Right. At this time, we're going to have the superintendent's remarks. I certainly want to welcome Mr. Earl to his first time as our sitting superintendent. So welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Lane. I certainly appreciate it. Just want to just say thanks to all of the staff and families that I've had an opportunity to connect with in the last 4 weeks. It's been really exciting and interesting. So much work to do, so much good happening that we can do together. It's been a busy summer with student work and student accomplishments. And this evening, we have 2 students from Trenton Central High School who will share their experience from the summer. Alma Bautista and Rukia Durana Hope, currently juniors at Trenton Central High School, who participated in the STEM art prep program during the 2021 school year. The art prep program is a partnership between Trenton Central High School and Princeton University Department of Architecture. The dean of the School of Visual Arts was so impressed with the two students, Alma and Rukia, that she recommended that they attend the summer camp. The various funding sources, such as Trenton Public Education Foundation, Frank Petrino and the Bernard We Care Foundation, the tuition, room, and board for the summer program were paid, and Alma and Rukia were able to attend free of charge. Congratulations to the both of you. Tonight, those young people will share their experience from the summer. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, before Africa. 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 Hey, hey, ho, ho, before Africa.
I'm so sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alma Batista. My name is Juliana. We wanted to thank you for having us here today. So in the fall of 2020, our sophomore year, we took Preston Art Camp at Trenton Central High School, and it was the third year it was offered there. Art Camp is a collaboration between Trenton Central High School and Princeton University School of Architecture. It was created by the Dean of the School of Architecture, Monica Ponce de Leon, when she was the Dean of the University of Michigan.
students to discipline of architecture and nursing semester long course. Architecture high school programs are practice student construction. Construction is not extracurricular activity. And the high school curriculum in the daily subjects.
Princeton Art Club aims to diversify. Princeton Art Club aims to diversify the field of architecture by providing comprehensive support, guidance, and academic, cultural enrichment to students who are typically underrepresented in American architecture schools and thus the profession of architecture.
My question was called the memories pavilion. It was for the memories of all students who passed. We did exam of all their past, like all past work they did, all their hard work. Current students is even.
So this project was our last project that we took in the class of art prep. So we had to create a pavilion near the school, and we had to, it had to be something for students that they could use and use in the school. So my pavilion was a planetary pavilion. It has a hot room, garden, and courtyards. They can go and like and make it part of their day, and they can use it.
First, I got SBA here, and received scholarships from SBA and the Technical Education Foundation. That was the cost for the tuition.
So we wanted to thank the Trenton Public Education Foundation for their help and their support. Okay, so these are the dorms. Each room had 2 desks and a bunk bed, and we have the kitchen and everything that we did.
The neighborhood was very alive. Well, we usually, the park usually goes to the National Square Park, but there's some ones that are flying.
There was also the flat iron building right there, and we had a really nice view, and there were a lot of people, and it was like a little escape from the city, but within the city. So it was really nice to be there.
Okay, so we visited many places and we had a lot of fun. One of our favorite places we visited was the High Line. We saw the guards and we saw the vessel, as you can see right here. And then this building was this by this pillar is by a teacher in architecture, University of Princeton. And we also had a chance to visit the Museum of American Art with our teacher assistant. So here's some pictures of us. We had our roommates and our neighbors, like in the forest. We went to the next neighbors. We also went to here, and we had some pictures of us. When Vicky's mom came to visit us, and we had so much fun and went to visit.
Classes are 3 hours long. Class.
So we were doing previous projects from 3 weeks. Here's some drawings that we did about this. We did it at the park, actually, you guys were there. And this is the highlight that we went through.
Project 1 was about design.
So project number 2 was creating a dining room and kitchen space for a couple, and one of them had a bill. So we had to include the same things. We had to make it accessible for kids. They want to maneuver out of the room while we able to spend time with this one. And here's some images of our work.
Project 3 has built the design of all of
So this particular here is my project. I chose the death life by as you can see on the screen, we were basically experiencing death, and then you're looking out. And here's some pictures of my model that we made on the cardboard. And this is just perspective sketches and studies. So I will have a tour here, which means that you will put it out so they can see to the side, so that can like how death is in a way. That's the end. I want to give a special thanks to Ms. Ellen and Mr. for the tremendous public education.
Certainly, we want to salute our students, their efforts. It does take a village, and certainly we appreciate the Superintendent of Public Education component who are helping to support our students. That experience seems like a wonderful one. So congratulations, our students, for their hard work over the summer. And certainly, it sounds like they're well on their way for a career in architecture, and that is a field that in fact is wide open and certainly one that we want our students to be invested in. So congratulations to our students. employees, and you're very with us. So again,
So, if you'd like, and excited that many of the students are being vaccinated. And last but most important, one of the most important things, we have 41 students who graduated this summer from Central High School, like Twilight. So just want to make sure that the class of 2021 is well recognized. We appreciate the hard efforts of students. As President Lane said, it takes a village to raise a child, and we know that the journey is not always straight, but we appreciate the perseverance of our teachers and the students reaching this milestone. At this time, I have a board presentation. So thank you again to everyone who being Mo. Many of you are well aware we have a gold medalist, 2 medalists. We're excited to be a part of the accomplishments of the thing. We were all able to watch it. If you weren't, please turn on YouTube, have an opportunity to check it out. It's really awesome to watch. So a thing is going to be in Trenton this week, and we're scheduling some opportunities to celebrate with her with our students, and the potential parade opportunity, which we will be announcing on our website and out to our staff and students in the early near day or so. So at this time, we have an awesome presentation. If you didn't have a chance to see it, we'll get an opportunity here to see a thing in action. So again, congratulations to the thing and her outstanding accomplishments. Thank you, and congratulations again to Thing. Thank you for all of those of you who have supported the students here, have supported the Thing and her accomplishments. When you work together, so anything is possible when you work together. Again, I just want to thank you for the first evening serving as your superintendent. I look forward to working with all of you as we move our district forward. I am open for discussions on almost anything and available when the opportunity knocks. So I look forward to working with you on all the great things we will do here in Trenton.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, and certainly we want to congratulate our student, our thank Mo, class of Trenton Central High School, like class of 2020. Certainly, the dreams that she had are coming true. They still support and encouragement from a number of people in this town and outside of this town. And it takes a village, and that village that she has surrounded herself with is certainly paying all parts of her continued success. As Mr. Earl stated, we certainly want to participate and encourage her that she will be coming home to Trenton sometime this weekend. And at this time, I believe there is a great plan for this Sunday. So certainly we want to support and encourage her and let her know how much we appreciate what she has done in setting herself as a role model, not only as an athlete, but an honor student as well. Yes, we want to salute and encourage her. All right, so.
They say give back weekend.
All right.
Give back weekend. Give back. Give back.
With that said, we'll go on to our presentation from FCC Consultant Services. We actually were able to secure their services by way of a grant that will help us to evaluate our technology system and see what gaps we have we might need to address and how we can further improve what we have on hand. So again, we're going to have our presentation from FCC, and then we have some additional information and things to show you regarding our athlete, I think, Mo, and we'll come to that a little bit later on.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. As the president said, my name is Chris Carruthers, and I'm president of FCC Consulting Services. With me today is Tony Whittock, who's one of the project members of my of the team that is here to talk about the assessment, the technology assessment that we're doing for the district. As the president indicated, we're conducting a needs assessment for the entire IT operation, and we'll prepare a strategic IT plan to serve as a roadmap for the district going forward. We've divided the scope of this project into 3 different work streams. Just a second here. Dennis can come and help. But while he's doing that, the 3 work streams are very straightforward. The first work stream is called IT infrastructure. And the second work stream is actually IT operations. And then the third work stream is community technology. So if you look at those are the 3 major categories that we identified. And in each of those categories, we have key activities. So you can see here on the screen under technology infrastructure, which is to your left, you have cybersecurity, network infrastructure, and telecommunications as the primary activities. And then the key deliverables, we're going to have a logical network. We call it topology. This is called architecture. We have physical architecture, and then we have telecommunications network analysis as well. There's an opportunity to save a lot of money in this area as well for the school district. And then finally, what you don't see up there is the cybersecurity assessment and report audit that we've been doing as well. So that's technology and infrastructure, technology operations. Again, the highlights on the screen: organization, support, service levels, capital planning, vendor management. All these areas need to be addressed and be efficient to support the school district's mission. And then under key deliverables, you see some of the key deliverables we're going to provide at the end of the process. And then finally, community technology. This is an area where we talk about your broadband capabilities, communication, working with your external partners that help the school district, and just technology in general, how they access information, how they obtain information in a secure fashion. So we're looking at all of these areas, and then you see some of the deliverables below. So that's really the scope of the project. And then at the bottom here, that runs across the entire scope is the development of the strategic plan. So we're going to take the output of all 3 of those areas to help formulate the strategic plan, 3 to 5 year strategic plan for the district. All right, just so you understand how the project is organized, you'll see here we have an executive sponsor, that's Mr. Rose, the superintendent. We have an executive committee that oversees the entire process. And then we have 3 subcommittees, one for infrastructure, one for operations, one for community technology. And then you'll see our team in the middle, Joseph Durham, who's our project manager. He runs the project, and he's also in charge of the community technology scope of area. Jeffrey Thompson, technology operations, and then, as I mentioned before, Tony Whittock, who's handling our infrastructure and cybersecurity. But we also have extended team members. Because of our breadth and depth and experience, we have folks that we can call on as needed to assist us in certain areas as part of the project as well. So this just gives you an overview of how we're structured. The committees meet weekly, and the executive committee meets monthly. All right, year 1 project timeline. So as you can see here, this goes from May to April. And today is where we are. We completed the initial IT assessment, and a couple things about the timeline. So what we did was we divided the assessment into 2 categories: a preliminary assessment, which focused on the things you need to do before the start of the new school year. So we're really focused, Mr. Earl asked us to really focus on what can we do before school starts and a little bit after, the first month after. So, so we really honed in on that, and we just finished that. And so we're reviewing the results of that assessment with Mr. O and his team. And we've already, the IT department's already implemented a lot of those recommendations, particularly around cybersecurity. So then in October, we're going to switch gears when we finish the assessment to developing the strategic plan, and you see the rest of the schedule there. All right, now looking ahead, finally, in addition to the items listed here, we are going to spend a lot of time with Mr. O and his cabinet and his team looking at the recommendations for from the preliminary assessment. So there were 6 or so items in the security and cybersecurity area. I'm pleased to announce that except for one, all of them have been resolved, and the last one, which the school district doesn't have much control over, the whole of it will be resolved here in the next week. So that's good news. That was a major concern of ours. But then in operations and in community technology, there are some other items that we listed that should be addressed immediately. And so the next couple of weeks, we're going to address those and share with the plan and with the board what we're trying to accomplish. So we're excited about that. And again, I would say that at the end of the day, when this process is done, we would identify and document the current operation, the infrastructure, the applications, the platform, everything you have in place and new initiatives, and then provide recommendations on how to improve it, which is really the key going forward. So that basically your IT organization is aligned with the mission of the school district, and not just you got technology for technology's sake. You really want it to be productive and efficient. So we're looking forward to working with the team and the board as we move forward through this process. Hopefully, as we talk with Mr. Earl, there are going to be some immediate changes that you should see probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks that really going to support the school district. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the president.
Thank you. So just one question, or statement rather. So I'm happy to hear that we're evaluating our tech systems. I'm not sure in terms of the executive meeting, we are going to marry the 2 strategic plans because we have the district strategic plan, and we're going to have a plan that will improve our technology. So at some point, we're marrying the 2 plans.
Yes. So this is, just think of this as a component of the overall strategic plan. This is the technology component of the overall strategic plan.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Good work now, getting your email and presentations and everything on the work that you've been doing in our district. Very happy to see the work, a lot of things that you've addressed there. We need and we appreciate the work that you're doing. We did have an opportunity to be involved in part of one of the committees in terms of community technology, along with Jeff Dorr. And then also was able to speak to him on a number of occasions, just to kind of get an overview, just in the community engagement technology, which is I'm a chair of academic engagement, so I'm focused in that area. And I'm very happy with the work that's being done so far. Thanks so much. Was also able to connect him, recommend a connection to him for church literacy movement, which I think we got a chance to speak to, which is a big part of our partnership here in the city with literacy. They connect with computers and teachers, and they need that support. So I'm happy that you guys are able to connect. And thanks for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I would say, I didn't mention it, but from a community technology standpoint, there are 4 major partners, right? The Trend Literacy Movement Program, the Trend Health Team, Mercer Street Friends, and the Trend Free Public Library. So they're all part of that committee. So we're gathering their requirements, listening to their challenges and needs about access to information quickly and secure, and how we can address that in a more efficient and effective manner. So thank you for reminding me of that. But our members is a very diverse group that's participating in all of these committees.
Thank you, Matt. We said.
So thank you, Mr. Director. Are there no other questions? Okay, thank you. and look forward to your continued work. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Okay, okay. All right, so this time we're gonna go back to our committee reports. And so, at this time, Mr. Bowie, could you do our operations report, please?
Yes, ma'am. First, I'd like to thank the superintendent for a thorough weekly update. I thought that was very good, so I appreciate that. And I would also like to thank the facilities chair, Jeannie, for a robust discussion around testing and vaccine. We reviewed the secretary treasurer transfers report, the bill list, also the facilities overall report. And I typically mention donations, but one is significant, and that is the donation by the Trenton Literacy Movement. It was $89,959 to provide services to students in grades 1 through 3. That's a significant one. Additionally, we reviewed the board committee meetings, and there is a partnership with All Kids Thrive, the Princeton Area Community Foundation, because if children don't attend school, then children can't be successful at school. So one of the resolutions is for that. We also, on the agenda is the roof repair for Washington Elementary School in Jefferson. Long time coming. And then the last is the interim placement scores for QSAC report. And it was really good to see on this particular item that the operation score increased to 96%, which is over the 80% threshold. And instruction programming is still under an action plan through January 2022. There's 2 more. Let's see. Oh, yes, this one with the Prospect Organization to provide trauma and informed care for teachers and students. We're really concerned about that. And the MOU with Mercer Street Feds. Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowie. And the other thing that I just want to throw in, there are a whole lot of donating for our back to school extravaganza, so certainly we want to thank them for their support. Okay, and so at this time we'll move to facilities.
Thank you. The facilities committee met on Wednesday, August 18th, and following is an update on the ongoing facilities project. Both the annex project at Trenton Central High School and the additions at the 9th grade academy are on target to be finished and ready to go the first day of school. Everything, furniture's all been ordered and should be delivered in time, so those areas will be up and running. Ongoing projects for the roofs in Jefferson, Washington. We're having a real hard time getting materials, or the contractor is, and those have been pushed back a few months. As soon as they're able to procure the materials, the project will start. The ongoing electrical upgrades for Robbins, Franklin, and Harrison School is progressing, and we're still aiming for fall completion with the air conditioning installation in all 3 of those schools. Gym at Robbins, the work has been begun. Pulled up the gym floor at the beginning of August. And they will do air quality testing once it's pulled up, make sure everything's safe, and then it's on the floor. Engineers and architects are currently working on the design for the new sump pump system. It's also needs to be worked with the city of Trenton because that was a problem with water. The window projects done in Robbins are also 75% of the design work is done, and they're waiting to go out and bid on that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we see movement there. So at this point, face family and community engagement.
Yes, thank you, Ed. We've had some great conversations with the superintendent on TV, radio broadcasts on Tuesdays. We started out on August 10th and 17th. We have one more scheduled for tomorrow. And then we'll give the superintendent a little break for the 31st, last Tuesday of the month, to get ready for the first day of school. But we had some intriguing, interesting conversations on the phone about kids and really how we serve as kids. So we're proud of the conversation. I think the first session had about maybe a half a dozen to 2 dozen folks on asking questions, and the second broadcast, which was last week, about the same amount. So we had some good questions from teachers. We had some good questions from a parent. We had some good questions from community members. Homeworks was also on the call, I believe, on last week, and asked some good questions about how they can interact with the board more. Got to connect with the superintendent, which I think is a very good thing as we continue to roll out our TV and radio broadcast every Tuesday, Zoom at 4, broadcast on IMG at 7 p.m. and on WPHY Project Channel 28 on Thursday at 11. So we're looking forward to additional conversations with the superintendent and invite everyone to be a part of it. Come ask questions of our superintendent, because it is all about the kids. It's about focus on the students and focus on the kids, focus on support staff, focus on teachers, and making sure parents and all our community make sure that we're servicing our students to educate them as we should. In addition to that, there's a lot of things going on in family and community engagement. We had our meeting last week, and we talked about parent university. We discussed school-based youth services, expansion to the middle school from the high school. We talked about the SEC consulting recommendations centered around community engagement technology. We talked about the 2 positions that are going to be key to our communication strategy implementation, which is the communication officer and the parent and community liaison that works in Denise Crease's office, along with Mr. Wilfredo Ortiz, our assistant superintendent of secondary. We talked about also our TV radio broadcast programming for the rest of the year. We're still working that out. Denise Johnson is a member of our committee. Yolanda Lopez is a member of our committee. Addie is also there, of course, when she can be there. Most of the time she's on our call and on the committee going to get the work done. The other thing is, the big thing is the extravaganza that's coming Friday. We decentralized it to elementary and middle schools. So we think it's going to be an exciting time for our students and parents to come together and meet at those schools. We'll have also one here at Essential Services. Also ask Wilfredo and Denise in the committee meeting, if the board would have a table outside Essential on the 27th, so we can meet and greet, so we can have a table out there, so board members will be able to meet and greet, have a table with information, and be able to meet and greet the people as well. We also talked about renaming of our schools, right? That's on the table. It's been on the table, It's one of our goals to communicate that out to the community, the renaming of our schools as we move forward, working with the facilities committee chair to get that accomplished this year. I was able to visit Mott School with Mr. Earl and Wilfredo. Just happened to be around the neighborhood with my son in the sports program at Trick Central High School, and was able to go walk through. It was a great opportunity for me to see education in action over at Mott School. I was also able to look at the construction project at Trent Central High School. I was over there checking on the sports program with my son, and it was just one in progress, man. In progress. I see great things happening over there. So that's pretty much all I have for family and community engagement at this time. A lot of things on the docket to get done this year. So we have a lot of work to do as we move forward. In terms of policy, we cover policy as well. We're focusing on student code of conduct and restorative practices and restorative justice, right? So we have started that work end of last year, into the summertime. But I heard the superintendent when he talked about getting more involved and getting ahead of that and really bringing that restorative practices into the city of Trenton and public schools for the benefit of our students, our parents, our teachers. And so we're going to kick that off and move that forward on our agenda as our goal and policy beginning in September. And so we want to get heavily involved in the student code of conduct and restorative justice, restorative practice. So that's the two committees. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so thank you. The last committee report is the curriculum committee report. The curriculum committee met on Tuesday, August the 17th. And at that time, the committee reviewed a number of curriculum proposals from a number of our schools, getting set and getting ready to start the school year. We took a look at a proposal for curriculum writing, a proposal relative to our Power School and how we expand access to services from Power School. We also looked at a platform involving Pearson and a number of enhancements to evaluations and services that we'll provide to our special needs students. We also talked a little bit about ESY, and in fact, we had about 200 students participating, and in fact, we had about 150 in terms of daily attendance. They were far more eligible, but the 200 decided that they would participate. It was a very successful program. We also talked a little bit about evaluations and compensatory services that were ongoing, and in fact, took place throughout the summer and will continue into the fall. So that was the information relative to the curriculum committee. Did I omit any committees? Okay. This is the board public commentary advisory, and we must remind everyone that this is a public meeting to do the business of the public. And so this is the advisory. The Trenton Public School District welcomes the attendance and comments from all members of the public at its meetings. This public comment period is your time to be heard on any school or school district issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district. Each person who signed up to comment will have 5 minutes. You will be notified when your 5 minutes are up. You cannot yield your time to another person. When it is your turn to speak, please address all of your comments to the board president. Please conduct yourself in a respectful and courteous manner. For anyone whose comments or actions either harass, intimidate, or threaten the safety of any person, we will provide you with a warning or immediately end your comment time. Also, if you use profanity or vulgar language or make personal attacks, we will provide you with a warning or end your comment time. Comments that adhere to these guidelines will not be interrupted. Also, we ask that all members of the public not interrupt the speaker during your public comment. If you have any questions, please ask your question during your 5-minute comment period. After the public comment period is closed, the board or superintendent or designate will address your questions to the extent provided by law. That is the advisory for our public participation. And so at this point in time, we will start with our commentary. The first person, and again, I remind you, you have a 5-minute limit. The first person is Nicole Becker.
What do we want?
Evening board members, fellow teachers, and citizen community listening this evening. My name is Nicole Ballard, and I appreciate the time to speak. I stand here tonight on August 23rd, only days away from beginning another school year. I stand before you as a proud TPA member and a proud educator. Teaching art is truly one of my passions and one of the things that makes me happiest in life. I stand before you today as a teacher that, like many of my colleagues, has been using my personal time over the summer to prepare for the upcoming school year and all the unknowns that it holds. I've chosen to spend time organizing lessons that I will teach to my students and thinking about the procedures that will make the most sense and hopefully keep everyone safe and healthy. I also stand before you as a teacher that feels insulted, let down, and like my work doesn't matter. Why is that, you might wonder? Because the board does not want to recognize the work, hard work, and dedication that the Trenton teachers display each and every day, and that shows with the fact that our contract has not been signed. When the pandemic first unfolded, nobody knew what was going to happen. COVID has proven that nobody can predict the future. It has also shown that teachers, no matter what the circumstances, will continue to teach because we truly care about our students. At the beginning, everyone thought we prepared for the lockdown lasting only 2 weeks, and we were wrong. It lasted much longer, and teachers continued to teach the entire time. As we wrapped up the 2019-2020 school year, everyone was confident that after a social distance summer, we would come back to in-person learning. I know personally when I ordered supplies for the year, I was planning to be in person. Many other teachers ordered their supplies thinking we would return in person. The concept of virtual learning and hybrid did not occur to anyone. As the 2020-2021 school year approached, and teachers realized we were going to be 100% virtual, we were getting little to no help from the district besides our school laptops. Fingers crossed you had a working one, and a big thumbs up. We sacrificed precious time with our own families to learn how to use online platforms and programs to support the students. Many teachers spent their own hard-earned money to buy second devices, extra monitors, speakers, microphones, headsets, a wireless mouse, upgraded their internet speeds at home, and so much more, because our administrators and supervisors still had high expectations for student learning, even though they did not provide the training or resources that we needed. And guess what? Teachers still did it. It is unacceptable and offensive that the board has not settled our contract after teachers have forfeited so much to ensure that the Trenton students receive a high quality education throughout the pandemic. Mr. Earl has even boasted about how impressed he was on his walkthroughs when he saw teachers in action performing hybrid learning the last few weeks of school. How is it that Mr. Earl was impressed and willing to give praise with what he saw in only a few weeks, but the board seems completely unimpressed after over a year? When the board continuously knocks down teachers and demoralizes our work, it's hard to come in each day and be the positive light that our students need. I understand why so many teachers in Patterson have recently resigned. More than anything, I want to start the school year with my students and be able to teach lessons and inspire them, to watch their creativity unfold in my classroom and engage in meaningful conversations. But it's truly difficult to start the school year motivated and driven under these current circumstances. Recognizing our worth and value is a critical part of our mental health as a teacher, and teachers have been on quite the ride this pandemic, and we continue to teach the entire time. I genuinely hope that the board takes the time to reflect on the true value of teachers and the role we play in educating the children of Trenton. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening, and I'll see you next time.
No, you want to move to the next Miss Courtney Parker. Courtney Parker.
Hello everyone, my name is Courtney Parker. I'm an English teacher of 7th grade at Hedgebeck Williams Middle School in the Arts. And before I start, I just want to let you know we mentioned the thing about before. She is a former Tiger. She was mine. And she currently holds the U.S. record that she broke on Saturday. Just a little pride there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I love my job. I love my job. I'm walking in 9 years. I tell people I work in Trenton with pride, and they look at me and they have all kinds of things to say. And I tell them, you got the story wrong. And they have the story wrong because they don't know the people in this room. They don't know the children in those buildings. They don't know the work. They don't know the determination. When I walked into my building 9 years ago, we were in status. And it is our ELA, it is our math team, it is the support we got from our in-building administration that pushed us out of status. You all got to take part in that pride and that joy. You boasted it. You congratulated us. We continue to push those scores up. We continue to fight for our students. And yet you thank me by offering me 2% and taking my crop away? I'm telling you now, all of the success that we gain doesn't come because we just magically happen when we walk in that building at 8 o'clock in the morning. I promise you it doesn't. That work, those achievements, that success that you are so proud of, and I appreciate that you are proud of. I thank you when you notice us. But when you turn around and backhand us with that offer, it hurts. We are dedicated. It is a Monday night in the last week of summer, and we are standing here trying to fight to be noticed, to be recognized, to be given what we have earned. Teaching is not something you just walk in and do. It is dedication. It is late nights. It is crying. It is worrying about students. It is the summertime. I sat in a Wildwood restaurant texting with a student because she was wondering when her schedule was up. Because our children want us to do better. And we do. We show up for them. And you know what? On September 8th, when we don't have a contract settled, you know who's going to show up for them? All of us.
No contract, always count.
Absolutely. We need those planning periods that you want to take away from us because we need to figure out what can I do for that struggling reader? What can I do for that reader who is at a 12th grade level in 7th grade? How do I push them? We need to figure out what lessons are going to meet the needs of my struggling reader and my overachieving reader. That kid who can't figure out how to write an essay, and that student who I can put in a college level class and have no problems at all. We need those periods to talk to our colleagues. I need to be able to go across the hall to my other 7th grade colleague and say, hey, what are you doing so we can keep our kids on pace? What are you doing that might help me improve my practice? We need those periods to look up ways to improve our practice, to find creative measures, so that when you all do your walkthroughs, you can say, hey, this looks beautiful. I want to see this in more schools. But if you take that time from us, it hurts us. Now, I know that we are coming up to a time in the opening, and we have a lot of openings in our buildings. Now, taking away our preps seems a little shady with that information in mind. I looked it up before I came in. I believe we have something like almost 30 openings. What are you going to use our preps for? And the entire time I've been in this district, I have covered because I work. I don't show up to just sit there and look pretty. I work. So I cover classes when my colleagues meet that day. So if you're taking my time, you're taking my prep, I'm starting to feel like I'm going to be used as a substitute. Because consistently, this district has not been able to give us a good subcontractor. We have moved to a new subcontractor. There's a hiring sign outside this building tonight.
Excuse me, you have less than a minute left.
Thank you. Dean and Otto put out an email for us to be headhunters. Not to be headhunters. I don't have to school for that. That's not my job. And then you again want to turn around, slap me in the face, and tell me I'm worth 2% and no prep. If you bring that to the table, if you brought that to TEA, I'm sure we can come up with a collaborative effort. Collaboration is when it's going to push this district. Collaboration is when it's going to take the people to stop saying, oh, you're working Trenton? Because that's not Trenton. That's not the Trenton I see. Please do not slap the teachers in the face. Please come back to the table. Please talk to us and give us something that shows how much you appreciate us. We pushed and we got us through a pandemic. We are still pushing through a pandemic, and we're still going to show up, we're still going to show out, and we're still going to have our kids do what they need to do to succeed.
Our next speaker is John Forte.
Even when they start to pay, you showed up. That's right. And now they want you to volunteer as a
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Do you mind if I pull this down for a second? So I can speak a little more clearly.
We can understand.
I want to talk about two things tonight. First, why the board needs to take a more aggressive stance towards honesty in education, considering all the attacks on teachers with the bogeyman of critical race theory. And second, I want to talk about why working conditions for teachers are directly related to learning conditions for students. So when we don't have a contract, our students directly suffer. So, in the past couple months, last spring and this summer, a couple of things have happened. Just a little bit of context. Nicole Hannah-Jones was denied tenure at University of North Carolina for, it's obvious, her role in the 1619 project. And even in the spring, right, we have a teacher whose name is Matt Vaughn, who was fired in Tennessee for teaching a Ta-Nehisi Coates essay on systemic racism, right? So teachers are under attack across this country, and we haven't heard much defense from this board. So I'm asking that we get advocacy, we get defense, we feel like we are going to be protected if people come after us, right? Because, reactionary lawmakers don't want our students to understand where they came from, what their history is, right? So, we don't teach critical race theory, but the premise of critical race theory, which is that structural racism is embedded in our society, informs us as social justice and anti-racist teachers. So when it comes down to it, right, this is very serious. This is censorship. This is an attack on academic freedom. And this is a kind of witch hunting that, on top of everything else, has made teachers feel insecure this year. So if the board values honesty, I think it's important that they value it, right? So honesty means critically analyzing the role of racial slavery, genocide of Native Americans, settler colonialism, ongoing discrimination, and systemic oppression. We need to teach that to our students. And it's not something that can just be, read in a textbook. We put the work in to do this social justice teaching that we're not paid for because it's a lot of work. Our textbooks are not designed to teach our students where they came from. So again, it's important that the board values honesty they back us in terms of the attacks on teachers. Now, another attack on teachers in terms of contract negotiations, the fact that we're deeply disturbed because we feel disrespected in the current climate when we don't have a contract. Last year was the hardest year of teaching for myself and just about every single colleague I was able to talk to, because the amount of stress, the amount of effort that was required to engage students virtually for an entire year, more than a year, considering the year before. I spent, just like my colleagues who come up and talked about this, I spent my own money on a microphone to make sure my voice would come through loud and clear with my students. I bought a 20-inch monitor. I bought programs I paid for throughout the year, Padlet. None of this stuff was provided to us. We had to go out and research what would help us when we had to buy these programs on our own. So, to just offer us a 2% raise really tells us don't do those things. That's the message we're hearing. Don't go and spend your own money for your students because you will not be rewarded for it. So in addition to that, myself and my colleagues, and I sent out like hundreds of text messages to students nonstop, way more than I ever had to in any other year. And again, you want to take our preps away when we communicate with students. It doesn't make any sense. All right, so again, excuse me if I say this, it just feels to me like there's a lot of hypocrisy in this building, right? You want to value honesty. You want to value our students' learning conditions, but not invest in teachers' working conditions, which is reciprocal. We need to settle our contract and give us a contract we deserve, because we are going to be the ones who get us through this next school year. That's going to be hard, and just as hard, if not as hard as last year. So that's all I have. What do we want?
Excuse me, thank you.
What do we want?
I remind you that when you come to the podium, it is to address the board and not the audience. That is the reminder, and there are rules of engagement that we have to follow. Just like we have rules for your classroom, we have rules for this Board of Education. At this time, Ms. Janice Williams, your turn.
All right, now. Before I begin, I'm going to be talking about class size and enrollment. I'm not going to be talking about what we want a contract, because we do want a contract, we want it now. I'm going to give this board some good advice. The last best superintendent we had was Dr. James Lytle. Many of you were not on board at that time. That's when great things were happening in this district in the city of Trenton. When we were negotiating a contract, Superintendent Lytle came to the board and said, as a superintendent, I want this contract settled, and I want it settled now, so we as a district can move forward. This district, until this contract is settled, will not be able to move forward, and newly appointed Superintendent Earl will not be able to carry out his program. And I'm going to tell you one reason tonight why he's going to have difficulty. So listen very carefully and very attentively. Please don't be right holding your head down. So when you report it back to there, report it back correctly. Good evening. Welcome to new Superintendent James Earl. We hope you enjoy your first official school board meeting as superintendent. Trust me, it will prove to be eventful. Tonight, I will be speaking about student enrollment and class size. Prior to the pandemic, the city of Trenton saw an influx, and I wish people would stop reading and pay attention. Okay? I saw an influx of students that resulted in excessive class sizes, particularly in our bilingual classrooms. This trend seems to be continuing for this school year. Over the years, the Trenton Education Association has worked very diligently with administration to address class size issues. While we continue to do so, we are here to remind you the district must comply with the fully executed 2015 settlement agreement between the Trenton Board of Education and the Trenton Education Association. There are particular individuals who have repeatedly attempted to violate the agreement, and one must be in Florida who will leave on Thursday to go to Florida and come back on Tuesday and probably infect the building and nothing will happen. There are particular individuals who have repeated attempts to violate the agreement and deliberately attempted to stop all communication and collaboration between the association and the leadership team when it comes to class size issues. Same cast of characters making the same poor decisions for the district regarding class size. There is a need for you on this Board of Education to stop rubber stamping those decisions which blatantly violate the settlement agreement. The agreement states, and please refer to it in paragraph 9 that I've given. The Power School or alternate portal system that they may be used in the future shall set caps that are consistent with any and all laws and regulations which address class size, including 2 but not limited to NJA 6, and you can read the rest. The main characters tonight. Let's talk about the main characters tonight. The main characters tonight are Dave Valera, Special Assistant Enrollment Scheduler, Interim Assistant Superintendent Wilfredo Cortez, School Support, who continue to over-enroll classes with blatant disregard for the class action lawsuit. And we cannot forget about past violations by Special Assistant Kelly Dupree, who's good at it. By law, the class limits for our at-risk district are set at 15 for pre-K, 21 for K through 3, 23 for grades 4 through 5, and 24 for grades 6 through 12. This board has full knowledge of by the lack of redress by those in charge. Our new superintendent now has the challenging responsibility to sort out the mess in order for change to occur. Let's take a look at what paragraph 2 of the agreement states. The Trenton Board of Education, in conjunction with representatives from the Trenton Education Association, will establish a schedule and conduct meetings on a monthly basis on which issues of class size shall be reviewed and discussed. These meetings, which were regularly held in the past with the fiscal monitor and later with the business administrator, must resume now that we are going back to in-person instruction in our building. It is not okay for Dave Barry to set caps above the allotted numbers and have 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 students in the class while there's still the pandemic. In light of the threat of COVID-19 Delta variant, this matter must be taken seriously. We all watch the news and see the virus spreading among our young people in schools are having to quarantine students or closed at an alarming rate. Additionally, large class sizes will continue to negatively impact classroom instruction and learning. Learning loss is real, people. Our suburban neighbors are using ESSER funds to decrease class size to better educate students. So why are we increasing class size? I know, Addie, I see you. So let me close out with these some questions. So some questions is, will David Larry be committed to continue on the path that puts our Black and brown students at risk? Is it possible for the superintendent to turn this district around when the same cast of characters remain at the table making poor decisions? Will the board, will you, the board, direct Superintendent Earl to abide by the class size enrollment lawsuit decision and make the necessary changes that create a school system where children can flourish, learn, and where teachers can do what they love to do? That is teach. The Trenton Education Association is fully committed to the children of Trenton. We are committed to truly turning this district around and working with Superintendent Earl and the leadership team that are committed to students and parents as partners and to our teachers. God bless the students, God bless the parents, God bless the staff, and God bless this greater Trenton community. Rubber stamp each and every year.
Good evening, Superintendent Earl, Board President Lean, board members, and fellow colleagues and Trenton community. Start how you want to finish, and collaboration. That's what we've heard time and time again. So thinking about how we're starting this school year. To start, the district has consulted our members, over 1,000 members to be exact, with being worthy of only $2 per day. That's how much the 2% breaks down to, $2 per day. Summer break is ending. However, while you might be enjoying your summer, our members have not stopped working and are preparing and continuing to dedicate their summer break and their time to ensure that our students' needs are met. But sadly, the district believes that we are only worth $2 a day and are attempting to take our duty-free credit. Since March of 2020, almost 18 months later, since the pandemic began, we have heard numerous compliments at times from board members and administrators applauding the work that our teachers and educators have done. Yet sadly, the district then believes we are only worth $2 a day. Let me remind you of the dedication and commitment of our members, which is clearly worth much more than $2. 18 months ago, March 20th, all hands were on deck. Our members shifted their teaching methods overnight, going above and beyond. We were told literally on one day, there will be no school tomorrow, you need to get ready to create a remote classroom, and that was, oh no, that's going to be the way you're teaching the rest of the year. Good luck. Members continue to research to improve best practices for teaching and learning nonstop, because again, we were told, this is the way you're going to be teaching. Good luck. And here's your junky old computer. Good luck. They spent summer break, now actually 2 summer breaks, improving their skills to ensure the needs of our students are met. And literally with no help from the district, because if you've ever attended PD, you would be well aware of what they look like. Half the time, the individuals facilitating can't even get the PowerPoint to work, so I don't know what they're teaching us. The shift to remote teaching was not a common practice, but our educators rose and continue to rise to the challenge quite successfully. Lesson planning and preparation still takes at least 3 times the amount of time, yet the district is attempting to remove this valuable duty-free planning time. Even though you have no idea what this year is going to look like, and given what the Delta variant is doing in other states, it doesn't look like we're going to be staying in school all year long. Or that it's going to look like what it looked like 2 years ago. Month after month, during board meetings, we heard the numerous compliments that our members have adjusted their teaching methods and are meeting the needs of our students and families. Sadly, the district believes we are only worth $2 a day and are attempting to take away our duty-free credit. Why is the district consulting our members? What happens to all the compliments? Our educators are still, as they always do, going above and beyond. Is this the way you want to start the school year? Is this what collaboration to you? Start the way you want to finish. The district speaks on building district-wide restorative practices. They also speak about the emotional well-being of students and staff. However, as a district, it looks like we also need to restore adult relationships. Right now, what do these relationships look like? To me, they look pretty toxic. They don't look healthy at all. The district speaks on building, again, restorative practices, but our relationships look pretty toxic from here. Our members go above and beyond. There are many members I know who delivered things to their children's homes last year without being asked, who made phone calls, who made text messages. There are many people who talked today about the things that they did. They had to do those things because the district didn't communicate with parents. Parents reach out to teachers every single day because they hear nothing from the district. I talk about it all the time, every time I'm up here about communication, because the communication from here is terrible. Today, Mr. Truer himself said, and on one of the radio shows, a parent got to ask questions. He said a parent, that is a single person. One person. So on his radio show, he reached one person, and we're clapping like that's an achievement. That's not an achievement when you have 10,000 students in your district. That is shameful. You need to do better. And your 1,100 teachers are the people who are doing the work. Yet you think you're worth $2 a day. You need to do better. It is shameful.
Hi, my name is Alea Valdez. I'm 9 years old. My mom is Michelle Morazzo, I'm sure you know her. Last March, we had a big flood in my house. My mom only missed 2 days of work. She had to have places with Wi-Fi to teach her class because we were living in different hotels. She sometimes taught from her car and her parking lots. She also brought supplies to the students' houses when they needed them. My uncle is a fourth-grade teacher in training. Last year, she had to take care of mom and grandma when she had COVID, and she still taught her class. She did not miss a single day of school. My friend Nika's mom is a teacher in training. Both of her children were sick and in the hospital. She taught her class every day from the hospital room and did not miss a day. We should all pay the teachers. They work very hard. And also, we should pay their attention to the people that talk at these board meetings. You should not be on your phone while they are talking in kindergarten anymore now. You can be better. People are watching.
That's right.
about Ms. Tammy Graham.
What do we want?
Good evening, Superintendent Earl, Board President Lane, board members, Trent community, and fellow colleagues. Welcome, Superintendent Earl. As we start this new year with new leadership, I hope that I do not need to speak on issues that we encountered throughout last year. Issues specifically were in regards to toxic work environments, unfair evaluation practices, and retaliation. Yes, when we speak on evaluation practices, we are fortunate to have DEAC. DEAC, the District Evaluation Advisory Committee. This committee addresses all evaluation issues. However, when issues are brought up and they are legitimate, the expectation is that proper investigations are completed in a timely manner. Also, when I spoke last year, I spoke when I spoke about retaliation. So, in regards to retaliation HR issues, on June 16th, I have applied for the learning loss positions at Mott, Franklin, Carson, Gregory, and Peterbilt schools. In July, it was mentioned that one of the above schools were interested in having me. However, it was said that I would not be released from Columbus School until my third-grade position was filled. This sounded odd, and I felt like I was being held hostage at Columbus School. Then, in July, it had come to my attention that principals have been discouraged from placing me in their buildings because I am first VP of the Trent Education Association. Why? What is the concern of having me in your building? On this past Friday, August 20th, Mr. Dino, Executive Director of Human Resources, emailed all staff informing them of vacancies posted, and on the list were two positions that I had applied for. I applied for these positions in early August when they were first posted. The first position was the learning loss vacancy at Wilson Elementary. Here's my receipt documenting that I had applied. Then the special education math resource room for Trent Central High School. I applied, here's my verification. However, I was not granted an interview. So, according to the agreement in our contract, each applicant who meets the qualifications for a vacancy shall be interviewed. The committee shall then provide the independent interview ratings, which shall include the applicant's formal training and professional experiences. I am starting in my 20th year here in the district. All applicants shall be placed on a ranked list according to their total ratings. Selection for a vacancy shall be made from among the 3 top rating applicants. Now this point E, listen carefully. All appointments after set vacancies shall be made without regard to age, sex, race, creed, color, religion, nationality, marital status, or ancestry, unless based upon a bona fide occupational qualification. Nowhere does it mention that a TA member who is in leadership with a TA shall not be interviewed when granted or placed in the school building. So why am I not being interviewed? Why are principals being discouraged from placing me in their buildings? Sadly, there are individuals or an individual who is tarnishing my professional reputation. Again, I ask why. As I start my 20th year in the district, I have performed my board duties and responsibilities with the highest level of integrity and professionalism. So what are others afraid of? What is the concern? Perhaps where there is smoke, there's fire. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Felicia Duncan. Judy Martinez. Marisol Tabata. That concludes our public participation section.
Hey, hey.
At this time, we'll have comments by the board. Board members, any comments?
Just one correction for the comment. Somebody mentioned Go Ahead Jones had not received her tenure. That is not the case. Go Ahead Jones did receive the tenure, but they decided to accept another offer at Howard University. So she did get the tenure, North Carolina, but she decided not to accept the offer and move on to Howard University with the position there. So I was going to clarify that.
Initially, she was denied.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're not engaging, thank you. Board member comments? Yes.
In reviewing the curriculum, minutes from the curriculum, I found it inspiring to see two items, the literacy partnership with the College of New Jersey, and also the PEI Kids Child Assault Prevention investment. And I just want to call it out. We talk about trauma that. I just wanted to acknowledge it was good to actually, because I don't sit on that committee. See some of the good stuff.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gold. Anyone else? Comments? Okay, if there are no additional comments, then at this point in time, we're going to move to board discussion and action on the consent agenda. And of course, I will need a motion. The agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda with the addendums as previously stated.
Second.
Yes, except for any item associated with MJ Austin, I think it's abstaining.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, all right, and so we have approved our agenda. All right, and let's just move right along. Any additional discussion or comments by the board? All right, so then we had some responses to concerns from the June 28th meeting. And those responses are here for the record, and I'm just going to skim through them. There was concern about embracing change, so we thank you for that concern. We had another concern, talked about the placement of learning loss teachers, bilingual students needing support to Spanish-speaking teachers, and comment about editorial written by a board member. Those were some of the concerns. Another concern, the listing of the concerns, were training is needed in restorative practices. Board members act like employees for the district. HR is discriminating against Latino and Hispanic staff in the placement of learning loss teachers. Staff members in shelter instruction positions do not have bilingual cert. Learning loss positions, district has not taken any of TEA's suggestions on increasing the pool of ESL bilingual teachers. PD and cultural competency is needed. Those were some of the concerns, responses. Currently, the updates to the student code of conduct are with the board's policy committee. 45 staff members have been trained in restorative practices. A subcommittee was created to focus on the implementation of PD. In addition to restorative practices, PD will also focus on ACEs and trauma-informed care, as well as cultural competency. Other concerns about learning loss positions, bilingual teacher selection or non-selection, and improvement in is needed in terms of recruiting bilingual teachers. We know that there is a nationwide shortage of bilingual teachers, and so the district is in fact moving forward to address those concerns as best as they can in competition with other districts in the city as well as, in the state. Also, okay. Also, there was a concern from a parent about the IDP process and feeling that her parent rights were not respected, or was she advised for them. In response to that, the child was evaluated, education, and the parent gave consent to get services in this upcoming September. There was concern about bilingual secretarial positions, and the response is bilingual secretary position and job description was approved. Thank you. Was approved on the 24th. Was approved on 8/24/2020. Additional concerns that were raised. Direct dealing will continue to result in ULPs, unfair labor practices being filed. Secretaries need custodians, administrators, and security in the school during the summer. The process of verifying qualifications of bilingual secretaries, computer testing of prospective secretaries is not done. Tessa has not received response to the request to bargain. Secretaries have not been paid for previously won arbitration. Secretaries are not receiving the proper contractual days. And those concerns were repeated, and I'm going to summarize the responses. Custodial and administrative staff, as well as security, are in school during summer. HR is always and consistently improving its process of recruiting, interviewing, and selecting top candidates. Assessing candidates' needs, reliability, measurement. HR will look into this particular approach. In addition, a couple other comments relative to that. Bilingual secretary position, again, was approved 8/24. And in fact, the bilingual secretary does need to be fluent in 2 languages. There was a concern about an arbitration not being paid, and that arbitration was not paid because of the fact that the information that the board needed to, in fact, complete that payment has been asked for and requested several times, and the information has not been provided. In addition, there was another concern about program manager job description, and each program manager job description is different, and 12 employees did not have the option to work remotely during the heat wave. One of the responses, program manager job description is dependent upon the position and location, and in fact, that will help to determine the description and their qualifications and characteristics for performing that particular job. All right, so those were the concerns from the last meeting, and we've already acknowledged the thing Mo earlier. I'm not sure if we had some additional pictures that we're going to show. I'm not sure if those are ready, but in the meantime, I would like to acknowledge the passing of well, actually 2 of our staff members. One is a current staff member, or excuse me, was a current staff member, Mr. Nana Manzel. He, in fact, was a current special education teacher and coach who passed away just this past week. So certainly we want to acknowledge him. We also would like to acknowledge one of our retired teachers, and that would be Ms. Wanda Reed Green. She retired as a pre-kindergarten teacher, taught for many years here in the district. So if we could have a moment of silence for those two staff members, current and past. Thank you. We acknowledge their contributions to the district and extend our sympathy and support to their families at this very difficult time. At this particular time, if we have those pictures ready, we can show them, and not, we'll just move right on. So certainly we want to again congratulate and encourage her as she is living her life like it's golden, and certainly bringing that gold home to Trenton. We want to celebrate, encourage, and again hold her up as an example of when you dream. There are distinct ways that you can help make your dreams come true, and certainly that happens with the support and encouragement of her family, her friends and teachers and coaches and those people who have supported and encouraged her over the years. So again, congratulations to a thing up, and we look forward to saluting her a little bit later on this week on Sunday when she returns home to Trenton. So let's give a round of applause. Yes.
We were raising my spirit all the time that she is the best in the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, just think about that. Best in the world. Right here. That's one.
And nobody's even close. Absolutely. I mean, she ran her races and she ran them in such a way that no one was even, as you said, no one was even close to her in most of the races that she ran. And she also won this past Saturday at the other games, the pre-Fontaine games. She also came in first in that. I'm becoming a track fan, right? So I think that's a good thing. So at this point in time, we're going to move into our resolution for executive session. And so the resolution reads as follows. Executive session resolution, August 23rd, 2021. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, codified as NJSA, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under certain circumstances, and whereas the Trenton Board of Education is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist as indicated as follows. Any collective bargaining agreements or other discussion of the terms and conditions of a collective bargaining agreement, including negotiations leading up to such an agreement with employees or representatives of the public body. Name of the union, update on negotiations with tax and TEA. Any pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiations to which the board is or may become a party to, and any matter falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required to preserve the attorney-client relationship and allow the attorney to exercise his or her ethical duties as a lawyer. Matters captioned, legal invoices are C and a settlement agreement. Personnel matters related to the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion of, or disciplining of any specific prospective public officer or employee, or current public officer or employee, employed or appointed by the public body, unless all individuals who could be adversely affected request in writing that the matter be discussed in at the public meeting. Matters captioned, rescinding retirement of a league. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Trimble Board of Education, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, that an executive session will be held on August 23rd, 2021, for the statutorily permissible purposes indicated in this resolution. Be it further resolved that action may be taken by the board when it reconvenes in open session. Be it finally resolved that the minutes of the executive session with regard to the above subject matter shall be disclosed to the public at a later date, and to the extent that the same is not prejudicial to the interest of the parties involved, no longer adverse to the public interest, or does not endanger any individual's right to privacy. With that said, I need a motion to move into executive session.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so with that, we are on our way for executive session. Thank you all for your patience and your indulgence.